Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I'm awake, and I guess I will start live streaming right now, which I'm live streaming right now as we speak. So, we have here on the chat line, we have a few people here already. We have Miguel. How are you doing, Miguel? We have Laurel. How are you doing today, my friend? Daniel. Um, Berry Sports Highlights we have here. Great seeing you. We also have Cowboy Kitty. Hey, how are you doing today? So we have the usual gang here, it looks like. And so let me get underway. And I want to talk about what's been on my mind. 2024. I'm going to vote in this election. I have said that I'm thinking of possibly not ever voting again. That's crossed my mind to never vote in another election again. So, but if I were to go and vote in another presidential election, I'm thinking what would be a great ticket? I mean, because you have to put 2016, 2020, 2024 into context. In 2016 and 2020, we know what happened to Bernie Sanders. We know what happened to Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips and even old Shank Ugart. We know what happened to them in this primary season. And yes, even Robert Kennedy. I mean, I don't consider him a lefty, but he deserves to be put into this category because just on principle what the Democratic National Committee have done to these people. And I'm going to say it like I'm just going to lay it out right there for you. Peter Dow, I really do in my heart of hearts believe that he was, in my opinion, that he was set up. He was there to basically, well, inside the Democratic Party to destroy Marianne Williamson's campaign and to basically destroy Cornel West's campaign. So a lot of people give Cornel West a hard time and everything, and I'm very disappointed with Cornel West. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's done too much over the years for me to be overly harsh on him. Let's just say that I'm kind of disappointed at what he's done. But if he's on the ballot in North Carolina in November, would I vote for him? If he's the only lefty on the ballot, I'll vote for him. If it's Dr. Jill Stein, I will vote for her. If it's William Stodden, I will vote for him. If it's what's her name? Carla Dela Cruz, I would consider voting for her as well. Clara, yeah, the PSL ticket. I'm having a brain fart right now, but for what I'm basically trying to say is that I'll have to see what my options are in November. Who I'm not going to vote for. I'm not voting for Genocide Joe. I'm not voting for Donald Trump. And I would not vote for Robert F. Kennedy. And you all know why I wouldn't vote for these folks. So, and I think we're probably all on the same page there in that regard. But 2028, I said, forget about it for the longest time. But, it always depends on who's running. And I'm not voting for somebody with the intentions. Well, yeah, you want them to win. You want them to win, but there's no reason to engage in the duopoly on the issues that really matters to us, because the issues that matters to us, they don't care. They're not even trying to address the issues that should be addressed. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing today? We have Smeghead over here. Kenny, how are you doing, my friend? The guy that does the music for this show. So, anyway, getting back to what I was saying, none of the Democrats and Republicans don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about what we want and the basic things that we want. Hey, Artie, how are you doing today? basically what they want, what we want is we want labor law reform to make it easier for unions to organize. We want universal health care in the form, preferably of a Medicare for all system. We all want free college to because you shouldn't go to debt for the rest of your life paying back your college loans and all that. College ought to be free. We want the end of these damn neocon wars all around the world, to stop backing governments, repressive governments, whether we're talking about the Ukraine, or whether we're talking about apartheid Israel, or whether we're talking about Saudi Arabia, or what have you. We need to put an end to backing these countries that are right wing and repressive toward their citizenry, and commits acts of violence against those abroad. So and the Democrats and the Republicans, they're not even addressing these issues. Don't even get me started on capital punishment. And that battle, that basic battle, it made me even depressed in the late 1990s. Just on the car radio, driving around, and just hearing something like a Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, I'll just check out what these motherfuckers have to say, bragging how the Republicans have been so successful in what they needed to do. They had convinced Democrats to be for the capital punishment. And I remember how depressing that was. So my point I'm trying to make is, and don't get me started on Julian Assange. With Alexei Navalny, dying under the circumstances that he dies, and everybody wants to blame Russia. How dare did they go and point fingers when you have basically Gonzalo Lira in the Ukraine that died recently, who was a critic of the U.S. NATO backed proxy war in the Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. And how dare people will sit there and point fingers at Russia when, look at what we're doing to Julian Assange. So, all these things in consideration, we don't have anybody that within the two-party system that would address the issues that we care about most. So, here's the thing. All right, I want hear me out. Please hear me out. So you have a situation with where we don't really have anybody to vote for, but on the one hand, it's important to vote, and it's important to vote in various elections. So I am not going to sit there and fault somebody for taking the time to go ahead and vote. And I may still vote, but I'm at the same time I'm thinking, should I? But then I thought about what would make a perfect ticket for 2028 if I was to vote. Well, I like Briahna Joy Gray. I mean, she's got a good head on her shoulders. She's got great takes on the various issues. She's independent as hell, and she basically, she supports free speech. She supports all the issues that's dear to us all. And she does it with class. She does it with smarts. She's just awesome. And I watch Bad Faith podcasts on a regular basis, and I like listening to what she and her guests have to discuss. So I would say that Briahna Joy Gray would be an awesome candidate for 2028 for president. And I would say that the YouTube streamer, the Amazing Atheist, known as TJ Kirk in real life, is also great for a running mate. and he has a sharp wit about him, um, a sarcasm that's to be admired, and also very great takes on the various issues that Briahna Joy Gray also supports. They're about ideologically as the same in many ways. Having that said, well, maybe in one area, nobody's perfect. In one area, good point about that, Cowboy Kitty. And on the issue of the vax and COVID, if I had to fault TJ on one thing, that'd probably be one of them. And if people do believe in what they believe in and all that. So yeah, I was a moderate on that issue. I was a moderate on the mask issue. I was a moderate on whether you should get the vax or not. And my emphasis during those times was, and emphasis now, it's not that we should mandate mask or mandate the vaccine. Have it available for those that wants it. But here's the thing: have healthcare ready and available and free for everybody who gets the COVID, the virus. That is my position. That is my position. When you get sick from COVID, you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, you get treated. You get treated instantly. This is why the other countries around the world that had universal health care was able to take care of this crisis way better than the United States, because they weren't expecting a pandemic. But you know what? Even though they weren't expecting a pandemic, they were already prepared by default for having a universal healthcare system. Even Boris Johnson, who's an asshole, praised Britain's National Health Service for being available to the British people. When he got COVID, he said that the NHS treated him well, and it's a national treasure. And I love reminding conservatives of that, the conservatives of the fact that the NHS in the UK, and if anybody's in Britain's listening, please do not allow the politicians in the UK from any of the parties in Parliament to Americanize the NHS. The last thing that the NHS needs, or any other country with universal health care needs, is Americanification. And that's the term I like to use, Americanification. We do not need the Americanification of healthcare in any of these other countries with universal health care. So whatever forms that they have. So anyway, so let me get started on the two candidates and what I have to say about each one of them, because I already did touched on both of them already broadly. Briahna Joy Gray. Now, we know who she is. She's the host of Bad Faith Podcast on the internet. She's also the co-host of Rising on the Hill. And what she was previously, she was, I believe she was a corporate attorney that turned into Bernie Sanders' press secretary in the 2020 campaign. And so the thing about Briahna Joy Gray is that what I liked about her, and that's where I first heard her in late 2019, early 2020, and around the time Bernie Sanders suspended his campaign. She basically argued for Bernie Sanders to stay in the race and do not capitulate to Joe Biden, and if you do, extract as many concessions out of him as possible. She was more like Bernie Sanders than Bernie Sanders himself in 2020. She was like classic Bernie Sanders, 1990s Bernie Sanders, arguably Bernie Sanders when he was the mayor of Burlington, Vermont in the 1980s. That's basically what she was like. And Bernie Sanders basically turned into Elizabeth Warren, basically turned into what John Fetterman is today. I mean, that's what she's turned into. He's turned into Bernie Sanders. And Briahna Joy Gray was, she was arguing for him to stay in the race and to fight it out with Joe Biden to the very end. She was being Bernie or bust. And Bernie are best people. While Bernie Sanders needs to be criticized heavily, the people who were Bernie are best people who were the true believers in him. And I would venture that those that did believe in him don't believe in him anymore because he's a letdown. Um, he represented that movement, and so he was arguing for things like force to vote, and when the election was over, and we were going into 2021, and I don't understand that why there were people on the online left that were opposed to force to vote. I don't understand anybody who's any kind of a progressive that were against force to vote. And I know that issue's been beaten to death. But you know why I bring up the issue of force to vote? It's because that was probably our last, maybe closest to easiest opportunity to get some kind of a national healthcare system out of it. And even if we wouldn't have gotten a national healthcare system out of it, we would have gotten something. If the squad would have gone to Nancy Pelosi and said, listen, Karen, you're going to go and have a vote on the House floor for you for Medicare for all. And if you don't, you're not going to be Speaker of the House because you need us. You know what she would have done? I really believe Nancy Pelosi, at the very best, she would have said, okay, we'll go for a vote for Medicare for all. At the best case scenario, which I don't think would have happened. But what I think would have happened is that they would have said, okay, if you vote for me as speaker, I will make sure we get a public option. We're going to work on a public option. Or I will make sure we'll have prescription drug reforms or something like that. She would have given something. I really believe she would have given something. But there was a lot of people out there because they don't want to be perceived as divisive. It was a combination of Ralph Nader being the reason George W. Bush was our president for 8 years. It was that mindset in the back of their mind. Plus, Bernie Sanders is the reason why Donald Trump was in the White House in 2016. And you heard James Carville, his dumbass, talking about that recently. That mentality was inside the minds of the squad and those who were adjacent to the squad. Briahna Joy Gray was a strong supporter of force to vote. Just as, a Revolutionary Blackout Network were, and Jimmy Dore, Chris Hedges, Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, Jordan Sheridan. And if I'm going to be charitable to him, I give him credit for being for force to vote. Glenn Greenwald, I'm going to Michael Figueredo for the Humanist Report. We got bad things to say about some of these characters, but they were for force to vote, and I can't take that away from them. So was Briahna Joy Gray, and so that's another reason why I like her. She basically has been an anti-war voice, when it came, it's kind of like, well, yeah, Iraq war was a bad thing. That's not exactly headlines these days, but, Barack Obama took 2 wars, turned them into 7 wars, and now we got a war with, we're backing the proxy war between Ukraine and Russia, backing a government that's, littered with neo-Nazis in there, a government that's actually more right-wing than Russia is. We're talking about a government that, we're talking about, a possibility of war with Iran. We're talking about the Biden administration backing Benjamin Netanyahu's situation in the Gaza, which is inexcusable. And she's correct on all these issues, and all the shit libs who oppose her are not. So, you have people like Bosch, horsing around, being mean about Briahna Joy Gray and Xander Hall and all those fuckers. Little shots, little pot shot, cheap shots by Anna Kasparian. All these motherfuckers going around talking shit about Briahna Joy Gray. And Briahna Joy Gray's been correct all along on a lot of these issues, burning issues of the day. So I mean, I think that she's got the chops of what it takes to be a presidential candidate, and to be, president. And so, what political party? I don't care. It could be the Green Party. It could be the People's Party that people like to make fun of. It could be, Socialist Party. It doesn't matter to me. But she's got what it takes to be a presidential candidate. So I just wanted to say that. Now let's go right for a moment to the Amazing Atheist. And like Cowboy Kitty says, and he brought up a good point, and I actually got another strike against the Amazing Atheist now that I thought about it. He was opposed to forced to vote. Now, I believe that he's a good faith actor. He believes in Medicare for all. He probably thought, that you had to go play nice to some degree. And I disagree with him on that. But on so many other issues, he's one of the major people against war with Russia on behalf of the U.S. NATO involvement, the proxy war. He's been very deeply critical of Genocide Joe. And he wasn't horsing around recently. He and his co-host of Deep Fat Fried, when they were having it out with Vosh. And they were like close and buddy with Vosh, but I don't know what the situation is. But they pretty much said that Vosh was full of shit with the harm reduction bullshit, And so, and thing about Amazing Atheist, he's an articulate voice on issues that comes around with personal freedoms and everything like that, with the exception of the mandated backs and all that. I understand why he felt that way. It's just not my position. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not for forced mandating. So, we all have something about us that's imperfect. Believe me, we all do. And so, so, but the thing is that neither TJ nor Briahna Joy Gray have what I view as a shit-live mentality overall. Now, I think that everybody on the left, whether we want to admit it or not, I think that there's maybe still a little shit-live in all of us. I had a lot of shit-live tendencies at one point, and I have pretty much shaken it all off, because what I've said to somebody on Twitter the other day, it ain't X, it's Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk. It's Twitter, not Elon. It's not X. Thing about I was talking to some of y'all might know her on Twitter, Jackie. I was talking to her one day, and I'm talking about the shit libs. And I said, to me, a shit lib basically is somebody who's, I'm paraphrasing myself, somebody who's basically concerned with tone policing and nothing more. And I view shit libs as pretty much useless. My friend Tommy from Tommy Nation Politics was telling Warren one time on Extra Bull Alive that he just wished that shit libs would stop being shit libs and go back to being liberals again. And that's also something I totally agree with. So anyway, the thing about it is, I think that's to me, I just think it's a complimentary ticket. It's probably the most complimentary ticket. Well, before, when I used to have faith in Bernie and Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard, I thought that was a complimentary ticket, and would have been if they both if they both would still be the person we all sort of thought that they were in a good way. But they both ended up disappointing me. But this is a ticket I thought about. I was like, I could deal with a ticket like Briahna Joy Gray and TJ Kirk. I just think that that's a ticket worth considering. Don't get me started on what positions in the government everybody should be in, because that could be a longer subject. So there is that as well. Um, what I was gonna say right now is that's pretty much what I wanted to get out of my chest with regard to this campaign and all that. So let's see. So anyway, I was kind of tired, so I didn't get a chance to. I just been delaying my videos for the past few days because I've been super tired as usual, and I'm going to do something about it because working graveyard shift will kick your ass sometimes. So, and I saw somebody else here on the chat line earlier. Hold on. Yes, there you are. Yes, there you are. And Catherine and McCloskey, how are you doing today? See, well, hey, Willie, don't vote. It only encourages them. Well, that's the way to look at it. So, anyway, I may do a couple of streams between now and Friday. Of course, Friday is the Braglands. Jimmy wasn't available because she was at her sister's house, and I think it had to do with the power outage and all of that. So there was no secret show. There was, and all. So I'm hoping that there will be a Braglands with Jimmy on Friday. Hopefully everything's going to get back to normal and all of that. So to each and every one of y'all, just I'll conclude by saying, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share this content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to this channel here, The Willie Bragg Show. We're climbing up. We need to get up to 1,000. So each and every one of you can be very helpful making that happen. Tell your friends about the show. As I said, when you hit the like button, it helps with the algorithms, and sharing also helps with the algorithms as well. So please do that. Always reject corporate media. And remember to free Julian Assange, free Palestine, free healthcare for all, and of course, free speech. Y'all take care. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.